Okay. Well, that's what I'm going to ask you. There's your coffee.
Might be kind of hot.
All right, here, sit over. You need to sit over this way.
A little bit closer.
Yeah, a little bit closer to her so the camera, I think he'll tell you whether you're in or not.
Oh, I see.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
It's just let me get more comfortable.
Get comfortable. Be careful. Here you want.
You really sink
Yeah, you sink in that thing. I know. I don't know why this is the best place we had to do it.
All
So.
right, okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Now, my name is John Mark Walter.
Mark Walter.
Yeah, my mother was a librarian down here for quite a few years, and we grew up. She was a Jackson originally, so.
Okay, but I'm old enough that the librarian I knew was, I think her name was Miss Wild.
Well, we'll take
Yes,
the reins.
yes, could have been. Yeah, you all right? Back?
Jackson, there was a Dr.
Okay.
Jackson. Was it in relation to Dr. Jackson?
We might have been shoestring relation, but she went to school with him. My mother did.
Okay.
She went in the 20s. I can't remember what year she graduated, but she graduated in the 20s. My grandfather had the house, and he was a baker, and then she was a Jackson. So my grandfather married. His wife was a.
We knew the doctor for my dad, Leslie Baker.
Yes, Les, and then his brother was the
Lester.
judge. Yeah, Lester.
Yeah.
Yeah. They went back. You ready? Okay. Well, I don't know which one of you wants to start. You've been, you both graduated the same year?
Same year.
So if you'd like to start, state your name, please, and both of you can, and maiden name and into married name maybe.
I'm Emily Dow Ray, and I hate to tell it, but I guess also I should be lucky that our class celebrated its 72nd first
Yeah,
regiment.
six.
72nd.
Reunion, yeah.
72nd reunion today.
So you graduated in what year?
45.
Okay. Okay.
And
And when you were in 45 also?
Yeah, we graduated together.
Okay, so you want to tell us your name?
Cecil Ray, my dad's Louis Ray. We lived around Aurora our whole life.
All your life?
Yeah, so-
And you said you came
yeah, I was
Early on?
maybe 2
Thing
years
that-
old or something.
right. Okay. What you can whoever first, but what do you remember about growing up here when you were younger, before you got in high school or whatever, and when you were real
We
young?
lived in downtown Aurora,
Okay.
and maybe it's because I still like trains, and we lived not far from the train track, and most times that would be a no-no. I mean, you don't want to buy a house near a railroad.
Right.
But we, the kids used to run to the 2 blocks when we heard the train, and
Right.
go up and watch the train go by.
There you go. Where was that at?
Well, at the,
At the
where,
time.
where the depot is now.
Yeah.
That
Okay.
was the train.
Yeah.
That crossing.
Okay. Okay. So you were right here in Aurora proper.
Aurora.
She
Okay.
lived in Lutheran Parsonage.
Oh. Okay. Okay.
That's where she lived.
Now, where did you live? Grow up.
I lived
Cecil?
out on Indiana Avenue,
Mhm.
just out in the Cochran area,
Right.
and so forth.
Yes, I know where that is.
I went to the first 4 grades at West Side School in Cochran, and then the 5th through 8th grade at the Lutheran School.
Okay. So did you go to Southside School
No,
then?
no, I went all 8 years in the Lutheran school.
Oh, okay, in the Lutheran School. Okay. Okay.
And those days there was an emphasis on kindergarten and preschool and
Yeah.
all that. I mean, first grade, that was a big thing to go to school.
Okay. So when you were young, what did you all do for fun? I know what we did, ran around, and a lot of basketball I did. I was a basketball.
For a year or two, I tried 4-H,
Yeah.
but I didn't last there very long.
Right.
So.
Right. What did you do with yourself, Cecil, when you guys got out running around?
Well, I was raised actually on a farm, so we always had a lot of farm work to do.
Right. Yeah.
But then we did running around too at night and
Mhm.
dances and so forth. But in the war years, things were a little more tame and so
Yes.
forth. And
Right. Yeah. Everybody was conservative and
yeah,
saved
yeah,
those.
you were in gasoline rationing, of course, and so you didn't do a lot of driving,
Yes.
and
Right.
so.
Right.
But we got our entertainments in.
Yes. Now, when did you all meet originally?
Well, it's a small town,
In
small
the-
school.
In the 5th grade,
Fifth grade?
but there again, we didn't started going together, and we graduated from high school, and she went on to night school at the University of Cincinnati, and I went into service for a couple years in
Mhm.
occupied Japan.
Okay.
Came home and went to Indiana University,
Mm-hmm.
and then we later on went to I went to night school at UC, University of Cincinnati, too, for a while,
Did you?
and then went to Xavier University for an advanced degree,
Okay.
and
But you guys, did you go to dances when you were in high school? Did you come across?
We didn't have a lot of that during the war years.
There weren't that many
We,
dances.
there might have been one here and there, but
so we didn't really become interested in each other until I got out of service in 1948, maybe around 1949 or 50, and then we were married in 1951.
So you'd always known each other and been good friends and
Yeah.
run
yeah,
around
yeah,
together.
Right, yeah.
So you knew each other.
Yeah, we knew each other, right.
Yeah.
Did you like going? I know when I grew up on the river, I was like the steamboats when the Delta Queen
Yeah.
came down. If you heard it,
Oh,
yeah,
yeah,
we would go.
yeah.
You run one way that way for the train, and then that way for the boats.
that's right. That's right. Did they ever? I had shows. There was a boat that came down, a showboat type thing, came down. Used to dock down by the park down on the river. Well,
I
it's
don't know
Lesko
if-
Park now.
I don't know if that was going.
I don't recall that either.
As soon as
Yeah.
there did used to be a boat that would go family ride to Coney Island.
The Island Queen, yeah.
Yeah.
That was a big thing then.
It was
wasn't
a big thing,
Yeah,
right?
I don't think
Right.
I don't think I ever did it, but
Yeah.
Yeah. Now they had dances up there too. I don't know if they had them then.
Moonlight
They-
Gardens, yeah.
Moonlight
Yeah.
Gardens.
But I don't think we were too part. We didn't do that too much at that time. No.
Right. Right. Well, that's grand. What can you think of anything else that you can add to the, the nuances? Did you enjoy growing up in a small town in Aurora?
yeah, it was okay.
Yeah.
They had Farmers Fair back then.
Yes, they did. Yeah, that's oldest. This is the oldest fair in
Yeah.
Indiana.
Yeah.
It was pretty informal because we had a pet fox terrier, and I would hook him up and take him to the pet show, and
Would you?
sometimes.
Hi.
Hi.
You have fun?
Yeah. Are you going to get interviewed too?
I don't know.
That's all right.
We saw her last night.
Yeah, right. It's well, when you grow up in a small town, I think I always felt, well, it's you got to get out of here. You got that feeling at times, but then
Right.
yeah, later on. But the one interesting thing, I guess, about our class, there were 3 couples out of a class of 63.
Uh huh.
63 of us, and 3 couples, 6 people married each other.
Yeah.
Bob Harves and Natalie,
Okay.
Emily and I, and
Bill and Pat.
Bill and Pat Bunchbach, Pat Nagley and
Okay.
Bill Bunchbach. And they're both deceased now.
I knew Bunchbox used to live up here on Fifth Street. Might have been
Could be, yeah.
descendants of
Could be.
them.
And yeah, and so there again was gasoline was rationed, and you had you could drive and so forth, but you didn't have unlimited so forth.
I know how it was too with the dating. My mom and dad both said earlier when I was getting interviewed. My father was from West Virginia, so he got met mom at Fort Thomas.
Oh,
during the
really?
war.
Yeah.
Yes,
Mhm.
and then they waited to get married. And I had an uncle that got married before
Yeah.
her husband left. So actually 2 uncles that were in the war, and 3 and with my father also. But,
That was in during World War II. Then, yeah.
Mhm. Yes. Yes.
Well, I went in right after the war,
Mhm.
actually in '46, and then
Mhm.
I was in occupied Japan for 2 years, and they were at that time the Japanese government the American government, the U.S. government, contracted with a Japanese construction company to build 2 hydroponic farms in Japan.
Oh, okay.
One outside of Tokyo, near Chofu, a little town, and the other one down near Kyoto, about 300 miles to the south.
Heard of it, yes.
And we did that for a couple of years there. It was kind of a first and a different.
So that was interesting being in Japan, different culture,
was,
especially at that
right.
time.
Yeah,
'cause
yeah.
You didn't,
Yeah.
wasn't like now when you see all the cultures on television. and
Yeah.
all this and
So
that.
when people say they climbed Mount Fujiyama recently, I say I climbed it in 1947.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you all listen to radio programs back then?
Oh,
More?
I
mean,
did.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
But I was younger then.
Yeah. What was your favorite?
Oh, probably the Singing Lady.
Okay.
But that was when I was probably early grade school.
Another, did you like any of the comedy stuff? I know I used to listen on the radio to some of them. Fibber McGee and Molly.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And
Yeah.
George Burns and all that
Yeah.
stuff.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's all there was back then.
Right.
I'd like to go back then a lot of times. But to me, I'd rather listen to
A
that.
lot of stations nowadays have those old shows.
Hmm.
The same.
They did.
He listens to a lot of them.
I can remember our first neighbors had our first television set in 1946, I think,
Hmm.
and that was kind of an unusual and
Oh, yeah.
spectacular thing.
Everybody gathered around or got invited
Yeah,
over, possibly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. 1946.
Is your time running out?
We
Yeah,
got
okay.
plenty of time. If you got something to say or talk about.
No.
I don't know.
Yeah, he's given me a card. Memorable events that you said, really, you just be in the war and everything.
Well, the 37 flood.
There you go.
That's a
Yes.
big one. Yeah.
Where were you all at then?
Our house got like 7 feet of water,
Okay.
and we lost the piano, and
Right.
that was
Their family went to Chicago, I think, didn't you, for a while?
well, my mother and my dad stayed there.
Okay. And we were surrounded by water, and I can remember that we had groceries brought in by canoe, and so forth. We took in a family of 7 in our house. They lived down the road from us, and their house got flooded, and we took them all in. So I was there for about 3 or 4 weeks, I think. That was interesting.
Yeah, that's neat.
Yeah.
Our house up here was by Hill Forest, and they ran the Coast Guard out of it.
Yeah.
They had it was high enough up, and they could
Yeah.
put the boats in down by
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Catholic Church. So when they came back from Cincinnati, my family did. They were up there at the time to help my great grandfather. They had the house. They bought it in '37 in the summer, actually.
Oh, and
So they just bought it. So they opened it up, for the Coast Guard and let them run out of it. But that was a event that won't
Yeah, that
happen
was
again,
really-
probably. But
it was really something.
Well, in 1937, she was too, 10 years old, and I can remember going to down this road from where we lived because the water was coming up, and you could see the water coming. It was raising about a foot an hour for a couple of days.
it's incredible. Plus, it was cold. It was
cold.
winter
It was
time.
Yeah,
so-
January.
it was January.
January. Yeah, that's people don't remember or don't think of that part when they talk about a flood. Usually it's in the spring, but that one
Yeah, it was in January.
everything was melting off and it was still cold.
One thing, I had a relative that lived down on Lothian Creek, and the lady's relatives, her husband died, and they couldn't do anything to bury him during the flood. They had to wait until the flood subsided before they could get him to the
Yeah.
cemetery. Of course, he was buried in
Right.
Riverview, and that was all underwater.
Underwater.
Too. Yeah.
It's amazing that that they survived that one down there. Everything survived that did
Yeah,
survive.
it is. Yeah, right.
But
So how was Chicago? Did you have relations in
yes,
Chicago?
my mother was from Chicago.
Okay.
So her married sisters were all in Chicago.
Well, that was nice. You had family.
Yeah. And overall, I think small towns are okay.
Yeah.
It was okay. It's fine growing up here.
Yes, I think it might have been. I think I enjoy that more. Well, we're in kind of a big city now, considering.
It
you know,
is
it's a
getting
lot-
more than.
Yeah, there's a lot of things here that
Yeah.
weren't here.
Do you live in this area now?
I still live right out. It's Moores Hill address,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I'm actually right off Old 350.
Yeah.
Up off 350.
We were thinking about going to the reservation tonight.
Yes.
You know where the reservation is?
Yes, they
Right-
have excellent meals. I've been there for breakfast many a
Yeah.
time. I've had other meals there, but
Yeah.
their breakfasts are very
Uh-huh.
filling.
We were going to the Applewood tonight, but they're closed again, so
Yeah.
they
yeah.
come and go.
Probably better getting out of the area. It's still busy. It gets busy on Saturday anymore. They have shows, but yeah, that's good that you all, get back and get down here and So where are you at now? Where you live?
We live in the Reading area in
Okay.
Cincinnati.
Okay. Yeah.
And I graduated from University of Cincinnati. Went mostly at night, but I made it.
She went for 10 years of night school to get a degree. Now that's
What did you get your degree in?
Was science and chemistry.
Did you? So what did you do after you got out? You used it?
Well, I worked for a pharmaceutical firm for 30 years. And in the library, looking up information.
Yeah. My mom, like I said, was librarian, so I know she.
Your mother was?
Yeah, she was in the public library probably after that. She was up Cincinnati, and then she came down here in the 60s when I was young. She was in the public library.
Yeah,
And then
well,
my sister
I was gone by then. I was
Yeah.
in Cincinnati by then. but-
So what did you do, Cecil, when you?
when I worked. I got out of school and I worked at Fernald. I've heard of Fernald for
Oh, yeah.
17 years,
Right.
and I'm still not glowing, and I'm still alive. And so forth.
That's a good.
So
thing.
then I went to a place. They were decreasing production and so forth. In '71, I went to Senco Products,
Mhm.
which is new pneumatic nail manufactured over near Milford,
Mhm.
and we were in the fastener business. So we were approached by Ethicon, Johnson & Johnson, to develop a suturing device that you staple up and suture yourself with a disposable stapler and so forth. And so then eventually we transitioned to Ethicon. I retired from Ethicon and Ethicon Endosurgery in Blue Ice there.
That's interesting. That's where my sister lives in Montgomery, so I know that area.
Yeah, it's on Creek Road and Reed Hartman.
I know where that is.
Yeah.
So in high school, what did you get into any activities in high school of any kind? I don't know.
Well, yeah, there wasn't as much like they have nowadays.
Right.
But,
Well, I know basketball. Gib played because he was a tall
Oh,
guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
They were all
The-
tall.
Bob
basketball.
Harps.
Basketball was popular.
Yeah.
I mean, that we did. And I think, as I recall, we had a pretty good team some years. And,
Mhm.
Yeah, Don Ritter was in our team, and
yeah.
Bob Harps played.
Hey, did you all get on any kind of the council or any kind of what school
Well,
activities that went on or what?
They had for girls, they had a thing where you could accumulate points with different sports, and
Mhm.
I did that. So,
Did you?
Yeah.
Good. So you did a little bit of all of it, all the sports, different.
Well, we
they had
did.
Track and.
We had girls basketball, which is different than they play nowadays. And,
You're right. Yeah. It's different when I was in school. Some of.
and some of the with the paddle, that was popular. I don't think they even do that anymore.
Badminton or.
Like badminton.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't think they do that in school
I don't think
anymore.
they do that anymore.
But that was something that went on back
Yeah.
then. They were a little subtle. Sports
Yeah.
were a little more subtle.
Right.
Did you
Well-
do anything, Cecil, or you be on
Well,
any of the committees?
being on a farm, I had a lot
Yeah,
of
right.
chores to do, and so we did some. I was in 4-H and stuff
Yeah.
like that,
Right.
but not a lot of
You had too much to
I
do
was,
at
I
home.
was in the band for 4 years in
Were
high
you?
school. Oh yeah,
What'd you play?
saxophone.
Yeah.
E flat alto.
Okay.
With Bob Roach and Earlene Damon, and we were all saxophonists there.
Okay.
You probably don't remember them.
No, I don't think so, but that's all right. I can't even remember some people were in my class sometimes. So,
When did you graduate again?
1975.
75.
I was the youngest. I had a brother in '64 and a sister in '69, and then I was an oops. I think.
30 years after us.
Yes.
I think we've taken enough of your time this afternoon.
Well, that's all right. Well, I thank you for your
Yeah.
time, and if you would state your names again for the end of it, and
Okay.
your married name anyway, and your maiden name maybe, and then you know.
Well, I'm signing off as Emily Dow Ray, and my husband is Cecil Ralph Ray.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Well, I thank you very much for your
Yeah, sure.
time and effort.
Okay,
It
well,
was very nice for you to
this,
ask
I
me.
think this is a nice thing that they're doing.
It
Now,
is.
does this go all year round?
We're gonna try to do it. Let me turn this off real quick,
Sure,
and
yeah.
I'll answer your question. If I can't turn it off,
Yeah.
we're
Can you
Dan.
see it?
I haven't really run this.
I'll see it.
I think it's right here.